Yo, I'm back, man. With a little, let me pull up desktop audio turned down because I'm not using my actual studio microphone, and so capture your audio. It only captures your desktop audio. It doesn't naturally capture your microphone. Select the one that is designated to your computer, or if you have a separate webcam, this also works. I tried it. Microphone for the C922 Pro Stream Cam, which is my webcam right here. You can use the microphone built into there. Both of them will work. So if you're having problems getting gaming,
Do you hear anything now? Hola, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Audio, audio. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, yeah. No, it worked. Check it out. Try. Yeah, I just heard it on my watching my own stream. Well, okay, that. Uh, cool. Yeah, that's weird, but whatever. Yeah, let's just actually draw stuff. Yeah. Okay. Let me pull you up real quick. Where are you
at? And then you could do.
Okay, cool. Just gonna pull your. Oh, oops. I really need a second monitor. Do you have 2 monitors?
I have 2 monitors, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have 1 and then this is secret now.
Okay. Oh crap! Yeah, I
wonder how this sounds on the people outside the house.
All right.
My stream sound like.
That is a good point. Since we did the Skype last time, I wonder if we could do a Skype. I don't know. Then you have to connect everything again. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is fine for now.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm supposed to shrink it so I can see your. So what is that you're working on?
This is the cover for
Oh, okay.
6.
Oh, nice. So you're putting a background in?
I don't know, I'm just messing around to see what the, like, if I can mess around with, like, some stuff. I already have, like, stars.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I'm sort of just, like, totally messing with it now.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me see if I can screw it up now that I like it. That red is not, look at that.
Oh, that's weird. Why is there different? Huh. That is really weird. I wonder what that section is.
That looks real beautiful. Yeah, look at that. Kind of blend.
Yeah. Cool.
Just a little bit of. I don't know if I can change it.
Oh, that is weird. Why is this on there? That was really weird.
Looks alright.
Oh, yeah, just messing with the. Yeah, I like that fade from the top when it's like really dark near under the scared, and then it gets like, what I'm saying? It's like instead of like a really clean, like it like goes really harsh kind of, and then the. Yeah, I think that looks good.
Thanks, man. I'm always checking the value. Like, okay, what does it look like? Black and white. That's good.
Oh no, that's good. I don't do that enough. And actually, do you know Stephen Yu? He he was in
What?
Stephen Yu. He came to some comic jam. Actually, he was more of a comic jammer actually, but he actually moved away. But he does this comic called Joan. It's like Joan of Arc, but it's like a.
Oh, I think I talked to him on Facebook.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. He's really interesting, man. He has like he does these like little essays all the time, um, where he like always talks about his process and thoughts, and like he's just like really naturally like good. Like he is very insightful about his own process and thoughts, and like things he's a fan of, like how he got to his style and things he like. You know, it's like very. You're like, man, I don't really, tend to think that much about it, and also just like he's really just knows. He's like, oh, this is why I'm drawing this comic, is because I loved these movies as a kid, right, or whatever. It's very interesting, but the thing he's doing recently, if you look some of his newer uh, stuff on Instagram, is he's working on his pages. Is that he does them pretty much. Eventually, it's color, but like he starts with kind of a grayscale, and it looks just like a simple gradient of like dark to light on like each figure or background or something. So it has like this really nice feel just in the black and white, where you're like, oh, you can see. And it has, I don't know, even just a subtle gradient like that just really makes stuff pop a lot. And then eventually you can just like add color to it, or you can make that a multiply on top or something. I'd probably change it to a color instead of black and white, but like, um,
So is he local or?
yeah, well, he used to be in LA, and then actually I was supposed to do East LA Comic Con with him last year, but then I got a flat tire literally the night before, and had to get that fixed the next day, so it really sucked. But he just moved. I think he's actually from kind of the Bay Area, so he moved back up there, I think. So, which is kind of a bummer. I'd rarely see him. I think he lived kind of like in East LA, so it's kind of hard for us to hang out. But
That looks good.
now, do you use brushes when you like render and stuff, or like or do you just do like lassos and stuff like that?
Brushes.
Great.
What do you mean when I'm coloring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I've been using more screen tones and stuff.
Oh, nice.
But,
The Kyle brushes or something else?
yeah, the Kyle brushes. Yeah.
I still haven't
And,
used those, but yeah.
They're just fun. Oh, this is looking good. I like accidentally clicked the maps that I undid, and I'm like, oh, that looks good.
There you go.
I like it when that happens. But I use a lot of masks. That's pretty much all I use. I do the flats, and then everything else is a mask.
Okay. Do your thing back.
I was watching this one guy on Pixiv. Do you ever go on Pixiv?
No, that's
Boy, that's a black hole.
yeah.
But that's that, and he used all math.
Wait, he used what?
Masks.
Oh, okay.
So it's like,
See, but how does he make his masks? Does he like have a flats layer and then
do
creates?
layer masks. Because the reason I like that is because you can really adjust the you can just adjust the because it's like it's black or white, right? So you can undo things, do things.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Easier for me to manage.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten the brushes. They're just so unwieldy to me.
Yeah.
Well, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. What do you think?
Let me see here. Yeah, it looks good. The coloring on the character, are you just doing the background, or are you doing the characters too?
No, everything's done, I think.
Okay. That right. What's the main guy's name on the left?
Peter?
Peter. Yeah. Just where that blue is hitting the green, because it seems like the rocks around them are all kind of flat, but then there's that blue, like right behind his back, kind of.
Yeah, get rid of that.
Yeah, I feel like just make them. If you're just gonna make them all flat, like just let them all Well, I guess the ones close, like I know there's a little bit of yellow on them next to their feet, next to her and stuff, but I think that one, especially that one line right there, is pretty. Just looks a little, yeah, it just stands out like it could just be that. Like pretty much all the rocks behind him just seem like they could just be green,
Okay, what?
and then he'll pop out
Yeah,
more.
I made him flat. I have to look now. There's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
little rainbowy on him.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But I got rid of it on the rock.
yeah.
At least the screen tone version.
Now, do you do? Have you tried doing a curves layer at the end? Have you done that before?
How do I do that?
If you just go to File or what is it? I'm not in Photoshop right now, but it's like
Image.
where do you go? Or layer new?
Image
Oh,
adjustments, curves. So what do you want me to do? Just mess with it?
well, what I would actually just do a layer, new adjustment layer, in curves. So that way it's all in a separate layer, like you were talking about, so you can't non-destructive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, and then you can just mess around with that. It's not like there's no tried and true way, but the idea is, well, there's the first one is for gamma, so that will let you do like just your levels, like brightness and darkness, right? And then basically, usually you pull. Actually, if you want to look at mine, I can kind of show you real quick. Let me find a thing real quick.
Oh, your audio's on my stream somewhere.
Nice.
Playing through that.
Here. Okay.
There's a delay.
All right. So, do you see this image? I just opened a new one. I don't know if it's already. The two kids running.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And you see the tone curve. So I pulled this up. It's the same thing as Photoshop is. So, see, it says RG. Are you in RGB or CMYK?
It's RGB right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So RGB. So this RGB just means all your stuff. So you can see the down here, the levels. That's like your the actual levels in the image. So usually I think of it like down is down.
I don't see whatever panel you're looking at.
Oh, can you now see the tone curve? Can you see it now?
I mean, I see the image adjust, but I don't see the panel.
Oh, you don't see the pop-up?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
I want that might be because you're streaming just Clip Studio. That happened when I was streaming just Photoshop. For some reason, it didn't get up.
Oh, the pop-ups don't come up.
Yeah.
Shit. Oh.
You stream like that window.
Here, let me.
That monitor display. Then it'll get everything that's on there.
Okay, yeah, let me do that real quick. Okay.
But I see how you like mess with it, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is to do what I usually do is on the left, I pull it down a little bit, and that usually makes the shadows a little darker. Or I mean, you have to depends. That's what can happen. And then on the like upper right, I push it up a little, and that makes the brights go a little brighter. And then you can usually I try to do one on the left and one on the right, and just a little bit down and up. And then in the middle, you can put a point and then drag that around, like just tap to make a point and then drag it. I mean, you can drag them all over. The main thing is just to experiment with it. But the main thing is, even if you don't mess with the levels, if you like the brightness and contrast already in your image, the values, then you can just go into colors, and what it does is it will adjust the colors of the background. You know, it'll adjust the colors for the whole image to kind of harmonize it a little bit. I feel like that's a big thing. It's like it just makes the image kind of look cohesive. that's a big thing I'm big on, and you know, the digital stuff in general is just that you don't have to have the best color theory in the world. You can have like really crappy colors, and at the end throw a layer of blue over it, set it to hue at like 20% or something, and it will just kind of make everything look cohesive. You don't have to, you know, as long as your colors aren't like insane. So but it's a fun thing to play. I think it's really powerful, and the fact that it's just because you can do stuff in you know, color balance the same or levels, but it's all there and it's all very visual. You know, I feel like that's the cool part about it, is like you can just play with it, you know, visually, and look, kind of see, and you can even do crazy stuff with it too sometimes, and it'll make some cool effects. Plus, since it's a layer, you can always decrease the value of the layer and be like, oh, well, that's a little too strong, or set it to different layer modes, like, and see what that does. So
Right, you could decrease the opacity.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Oh, I think I'm gonna have a cameo here on my webcam.
Cat,
Yep.
hello, cat.
Can you see him?
Okay, I think this is fine. Let me see the cat. No.
Cat.
Yeah.
I wonder what the delay is on it.
Oh, you're grabbing it.
There he is.
The cat.
He's like, I don't like this. He's like, oh shit, ow. He's like, I just want to step on your keyboard. That's their favorite. Dude, I show you this new pencil I got. Check this out. It's a lead holder.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's chunky, man. It's 5.5 millimeters, so it's more than double like your standard 2 millimeter. It looks cool. It's like this wood grain. It's actually smaller than I thought. I thought this would be like kind of a big thing, but actually it's kind of nice and small, even though it's really thick. But it comes with this cool. I'll show you later because I'm attached to the mic. But it has a cool like sharpener for it too. That looks really cool.
That's just a super thick pencil, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, it's nice because I don't know. It's like the more, you know, people are always saying work bigger shapes. You know, like I find especially with comics, it's like you look at most comics, and I realize myself like a lot of comics are just big figures, and then sometimes you have a cool background or a little bit of background or whatever. But for the most part, you look at a comic page and like 75% of it is just a big graphic shape of a figure, right? If you really kind of break it down. And I was really, all my shots were too wide. So yeah, so I was doing too much. Like I was like, I need to get closer, you know, and make these figures bigger if I can, because that's what you want to look at. That's what the human, you know, your eye wants to see.
That's cool, man. Brandon Graham was on somebody's YouTube stream last night. It's 2 hours. I need to watch it.
Oh, nice.
He's been like he hasn't been out and about that much.
Yeah, yeah.
He got a little
Me Too action.
I don't know if he got that. I think he just kind of got he like had some I don't know. I'm unclear. I just know
Okay.
he kind of like stopped posting on Tumblr and Twitter, and
Yeah.
so
Well, you know what? Yeah, people. I don't know. Yeah, I think, you know, people are very.
really not as bad as Warren Ellis or whatever.
Oh God, yeah. That was bad.
God.
Yeah. Okay, cat. Can I? This cat will not let me work. He hates when I draw.
It's because you're working. He wants you to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, this is why I need to get up earlier, because literally, like, he sleeps till what time is it now? Yeah, it's almost 11. Like, this is right around when he gets up, and unfortunately, since I'm a night owl, this is right around the time I start working. So, like, as soon as I start working, he wants to hang out and like get food and stuff. Let me get us some food real quick.
Okay, love you.
And then they take turns because we got the other cat, so then she'll come up and do the same thing. She's up now.
There's the cover.
we'll see. I don't know if that's gonna work or not, but they'll probably come back in a second and bother me some more. But that's okay. Where did I have you? I have you on a thing. Oh, there you are. Okay. Oh. One thing I would say too is just the colors look pretty a little dark overall. I mean, I think they look fine on a screen, but I always tend to, when I do the level thing or the curves at the end, I tend to bump up the brightness overall, just because when printing, I don't know if you've noticed this, but printing like the Empty Grave 2, which crap, I have a copy around here, but it came out really dark. I look at it now and I'm like, oh man, the colors are really dark in it. Like a lot of it's all pretty much set in the nighttime, so that kind of makes sense. But overall, it just looks, you know, as long as things look like a cooler color, like blue or purple or something like that, you would look fine. So.
Is there a way to, is there a tool that, like, I guess that's where you have to really calibrate your monitor, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the main thing is just you got to think about it like it's light, right? So the computer's spitting out light.
Do you think this is too dark?
Yeah, I think when you print it, it could. I think you could just bump up the brightness like 10%, not like a lot, but
Just all the brightness?
yeah, just in general. Yeah. You don't have to really push the. Yeah, I think you can leave the shadows where they are. Like it'll still have shadows and stuff, but.
How's that?
Let me see.
How about I bump it up 22%? How's that look?
Hang on.
20%.
Oh wait, I was behind. Hang on a second. Okay, I think.
See here, before, after, before, after, before, after. On the Cintiq, it looks real saturated. On the other monitor, it looks lighter.
Oh, hang on. My thing was way behind on you. Okay. I think I paused it at some point on accident, and then now it's like catching up to your actual live stream. Okay, I think what I'm looking at now, which I think, oh, okay, yeah, I see you doing the on and off now. Yeah, I think it looks better, brighter. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because you still have the darks, especially because you have so many blacks in there. Like
Yeah.
that'll definitely still, everything will still read correctly. So.
Okay, cool. Okay. Let it 3D. I have a pretty evolved file management system. I learned all that in the iFile coloring boot camp.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you like that?
Oh yeah. But they talked about file management.
Yeah, that's good.
Just copy whatever I learned from that. I have their book too. I need to like go through again because he talks about stuff inside of
Yeah.
coloring, not
What
just like black.
did you check? You should check out that. Well, it is Clip Studio, but that I'm more than halfway through that Clip Studio coloring class on what do you call it?
Yeah, Skillshare.
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm learning some stuff. I'm learning. One thing I learned was just in Clip Studio you can do. What's happening here? You can like in Photoshop, you can press X to switch between your foreground and background color. In Clip Studio, you can press C, and it will switch between the. Remember, I told you about the transparency. So switch from transparent to basically from your foreground color to transparent and then back again. So basically I use that all the time. Instead of like going to an eraser or something, I just click the transparency thing, go to transparent, and then keep, and then go back to my color. So that I'm using that a lot. So
I know I need to get on the Clip Studio. I know I need to. I have it. I have Clip Studio X. I have the fancy one.
okay,
Because it came with the Cintiq,
yeah.
But I just haven't made the jump yet.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's definitely a learning curve, but for certain things, it is really just very nice. Just even like if you look at my screen, see I have all these quick tools here. Like this makes it like when I look at you work in Photoshop, I'm like, oh, don't you have a quick tool for those brushes you use all the time? Because you could literally see I have like specific brushes here.
That would be nice.
Yeah, so you can just jump to your favorite brush like really. I mean, you can have your brush palette all the way up all the time if you wanted to, if you wanted in Photoshop, but. Oh, you're still on full screen. I need to. So I'd start coloring some. I realize it's totally covered up by the figures. I also like right now I'm coloring the background, but because I have my figures on a different layer. So sometimes it's a pain just because if there's like multiple like overlapping things, like sometimes actually foreground elements will interact with the person. Like if they're like I have one page where somebody's falling down like behind a chair. So then to have a flat
Separate the stuff for the. I guess because you're doing digitally, it is all separate. Everything's a layer.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do that, but I do like it because I kind of stopped doing it now because I got the flats dialed in, but what I would do, especially before on other comics, was I would basically apply certain curves layers or adjustment layers just to the figures, usually to make them brighter and stuff, to make them really pop. But really what happened with this is I basically broke down what I was doing with that technique into just made it so my flats, I just basically, the result of putting that layer on top of my flats, I kind of just was like, okay, let me just sample the flats as that adjustment, you know what I'm saying? Like, the flats are the color with that brightness attached instead of like starting with a darker color and then doing an adjustment on the top. It's like just start with the flats already bright. So yeah, but so I always did that and think that, but also I'll put it just allows you to like control it like very easily. Like one thing I do in Clip, which is not, and you can do this in Photoshop too, but is I'll show you right here. Actually, this is how I do my rendering. Hang on a second. Let me find my other. Actually, need to copy it from my other page. Earlier pages. I always just have to go back to earlier pages to copy certain layers over.
For some reason, my lettering reminds me of Pickle Rick.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's not surprising. It's that garish green color.
Yeah.
So.
Let me. I kind of. Why don't you do the yellow, like the. With the number, like the number 6 and by the bell, why don't you do the yellow around that too?
Yellow instead of green?
Yeah.
Yellow.
I mean, just now the green looks a little like it's too close to the background value a little bit. Or
You think so?
a little, I think it's just getting a lot, like just looking at my monitor, it looks like it's getting lost a little bit. Just because if you look at it in black and white, like I think that green looks very similar to the value of the gradient in the background.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But here's another idea. Do you have is that like a layer effect where you're doing like a or did you hand draw that? Because are these hand or?
Some of them are the title's hand drawn, the scared part.
Okay.
And,
But like, is that a stroke is that a stroke? The green, is that just a stroke applied to the layer? Or?
yeah, but it's like some of it's in Photoshop. Now I'm in Illustrator now.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm still behind. What the hell? Okay. There. Yeah, there you are. Okay.
See how it looks.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can see. I don't know why computer keeps making me behind you. I was gonna say you could do. Yeah, that's why I do all my stuff in Photoshop. I just know Photoshop better, but for lettering. But yeah, I think that pops, and I think you get more. The title still stands out more because it has the black in it. You know, it has 3. It has the green, black, and yellow, and then the sub, number 6 and the subheading is just black and green, or yellow and green. So it still pops, but it matches. But it's still kind of the minor key.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think I might. I wonder if I should. Green darker. I know it's the same color as the other one, but.
Oh, wow, this is like a whole. Oh, I didn't even do it on this layer, huh? Did I? I did these out of order. Okay.
So you've been playing any games lately?
Just Call of Duty. I'll do Call of Duty like half an hour before I go to bed. Sometimes it's why I go to bed so late sometimes, because after Brenna goes to bed, she usually goes to bed like 11ish. I'll like kind of hang out and have some me time, and I'll do like, play a game for an hour. Maybe I've been watching Avatar: The Last Airbender finally, so.
I still haven't seen it.
It's good. I know people like act like it's the best thing ever, but I am enjoying it so far. It is a kid's cart, it's not like some, insanely good thing. But I don't know. I might be. I'm also like drawing and doing different stuff while I'm watching, so I'm not like paying the suit. I've gone back and rewatched some because I'm like, what the hell? I would say that it is cool because a lot happens in it. They travel all over the world and meet all these people, and there's certain things that I was like, wait, why? Like the fact that he's the Avatar, it's like it's very sudden. All of a sudden, like, which I kind of admire is like that they're like, oh, he's just the Avatar. Like, there's not a lot of like figuring that out or explaining it. It's just like episode 1, he's the Avatar, and you're like, okay, cool,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I still need to watch it. It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix now. Yeah, it's not that long. It's only 3 seasons, and each one's like 15 or 20 episodes or something. It's not like, crazy long, so.
I just never watch anything anymore. I'll play a game and I'm trying to make sure I read.
Yeah.
But like, I watched a movie the other night finally on the Criterion Channel. It's like this 60s Japanese gangster movie.
Oh, yeah? What's it called?
It was called. I have to look it up.
earlier stuff? Or
Oh, like this is where it started, like that kind of stuff.
oh, okay, yeah.
How do you go? I think it was called like something Wanderer,
Okay.
Loner. I can't find. What even?
So, are you looking at my? Can you look at my thing real quick?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah.
So this is not a. So this I copied this from a different thing. So really, I should do this. This is erasing everything. But so pretty much how I color is I just use one layer for shading. So it's just a multiply layer. So then I'm just using, and you can actually see I put in a layer that has my different colors. So I just use one color and then, on the layer. So then right now I'm doing like the guy in the top left, the coat, the red coat. So I'm using that lasso fill tool. So I'm just making shapes and dropping them in,
Oh,
So,
nice.
so
Just make it like darker saturation.
yeah, and if you look at my, I'm clicking on them now. The palette, the layer palette, the green layer. If you look just to the left of the thumbnail, there's that like red bar, vertical bar there. Do you see that? On the in the layers.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what that means is, so that actually I can probably turn it. See if I turn it off, the rendering goes outside the lines. So I turn it off here. You can see how it's like going outside his pants and stuff. So what that is it's a clipping mask. So it clips to the layer below. So then,
I bet I could do that in.
Yeah, in Photoshop, I think if you press Alt, if you like hold Alt, it will like make this. Hang on, I haven't done it in a while, but yeah, it's really useful because if you ever have your flats already, and you can even do this after, even if you do it flat, like you draw like not on separate layers, but then you can just select all of your characters, the flats for your characters, right? So you select all your character flats, make a duplicate layer. You could also make a layer mask or something, but make a duplicate layer with just those flats. Then you can do that same thing where you link, you make that a mask for rendering on top of it. So you can set it, however you want. But yeah, it's oh man, my nose is itching.
Okay, cool. So clipping mask.
Yeah, it's really okay. So if I click a new layer in Photoshop, yeah, there you go. So you're on a PC, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in Photoshop, if you're on a layer, hold Alt and just like as you're hovering over that layer name, and you'll see a little. Okay. You should see a thing pop up.
Any layer?
Yeah.
Alt.
Does a little thing show up? A little like down arrow, the
Alt, no.
Are you in the layer, like you have to be in the layer palette, like where it says layer 1, like the layer name?
Yeah, I'm on the flats right now.
Is it locked?
No. Oh, and then what do I click on? What do you want me to click on?
So, well, the thing is, it's
Oh, there's two arrows.
yeah. So if you click, so what I would say is make a new layer. Actually, don't.
Oh, look at that! It made like a thing.
Yeah, I know. And I never knew about this. I just learned about this like pretty recently. So it's kind of crazy, yeah. That like, but yeah, it's the same thing I was just showing you, except in Photoshop. So you can do that unlimited times. So you can put a like I actually do my main rendering, and then I do a darker one. It's like a dark blue, which I usually do very sparingly, or just for really dramatic stuff. But yeah, it really helps. So that's I like working that way because you're using your.
Use saturation layer, or it can be any kind of layer.
Yeah, you can do anything. A regular layer, you can set yeah, that's a good thing too. Like curves, like you can set a curves layer and then set it to Like I really think that works because like if you look like Studio Ghibli movie, you know, any animated movies, the figures pop from the background, right? Because usually the backgrounds are painted and stuff. But the one way I usually make the figures pop is make them brighter, make them more set, you know, stuff like that. So the backgrounds and stuff, you know, they kind of recede. So I'll put effects just on the figures to make them really jump out. And we're kind of used to seeing that. So, but that's one way to do it is just to, and you can put any kind of layer like that, any adjustment layer, regular layer, whatever you want. Yeah, I think it's really useful. Yeah, right. I'm gonna draw his foot. Crap.
Look at you, schooling me as usual.
It's amazing, like this stuff that you learn, you know, that you think you've already like know it, and then you're like, oh, I know Photoshop really well, and then you're like, oh, you don't. There's a lot more to learn.
Right, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What is that?
Nope.
Okay, I need to think about the image for the back cover. An image from. So you're working on Empty Grave, yeah?
No, this is the kids comic that I'm doing right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so this is page 11. So I only have 4 more pages after this to call. Like, I haven't even drawn. I haven't even like started inking 12 yet. But so it's only 15 pages. So I'll be done with it fairly soon. Yeah, it'll be sad. I've learned a lot, and this is a really fun project to work on. And yeah, hopefully I can work with him on something else. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think this has been a good length too, because just working on longer stuff. I mean, well, you've always worked on a long 15.
That's pretty good still. I mean, but yeah, when you put in like. I mean, the minute you. Add more pages.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's it feel like to work on such a long like just on one thing? Like, I mean, that must feel. I mean, do you get bored with it, or you just like the regular? I don't know, like living in that world for so long. And...
I mean, because every I'm doing lots of. I mean, every issue is pretty different.
Yeah.
So I keep it. So it's keeping it pretty. Keep it fresh.
Yeah. So I have a question. So why do you letter in Illustrator?
It's just how I learned to get more stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff it's like, oh, that's just how I learned. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, there are definitely advantages, but since I've tried, I think Empty Grave and not Empty Grave, Half Breed and Circles of Power are the first comics I lettered in Photoshop, and I am not going back because
Oh, really? Why?
yeah,
It's all there, or what?
it's just I just know the program better, and the main thing is in well, just not having just be able to use one program, right? But also like things like layer styles, like doing like if you want to do effects and stuff, right? Like I do a lot of strokes and stuff like that, and gradients and whatnot. Or if there's, I remember one thing was really annoying when I lettered the first Empty Grave in Illustrator. There was this part where this guy was getting shot, and I had to like mask out, or it was like 3 bangs, but I did it like so he's standing, and actually I can show you. He's getting shot, and then there's like it said bang 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 behind him, and I thought it'd be cool, right? Like it's like he's blocking the bangs, but to mask him out, like his body shape, like from that, I was like, oh my god, this is so hard. Like in Photoshop, I probably just would have used, made it a layer, put a layer mask on it, and then just use the brush to kind of brush out, where his body was. But yeah, it was, man, that was a pain in the ass. And stuff like I just find that I enjoy it more in Photoshop. The main thing in Photoshop that sucks in comparison is that every word balloon, everything is its own layer. So like in Illustrator, the letter all of your word balloons is like one one layer if you want. So which that's nice. So it's a little easier to navigate because I'll end up with like 20. Each page will have like 20 layers, and I got to like try to keep them. My file management. Try to keep them like all in order. Descending or ascending, whichever way. But
I mean, Illustrator's just. I think it's just now I've got the easy workflow because you have the layer for the bubbles, you have the layer for the.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, if it works for you, I think it works. I think it's totally fine. I like just having everything in one file at the end. Like,
but you don't letter in Clip Studio, huh? I thought you'd be able to do everything in there.
You can. The thing is, I've actually read a couple things, and I don't know if they made it any better, but there's certain controls that you have like in Photoshop and stuff that are not in Clip, like kerning or spacing. Like there's certain things that in that little menu that they actually don't have in Clip that people are like, oh, if you're a letterer, it sucks because and also like whenever I see people do lettering in there, it tends to, at least to me, the word balloons, they look weird. They look a little janky. The balloon tails and everything, like they have tools just to make balloon tails and stuff, but they just look a little bit janky to me. Whereas what I do is I've downloaded this guy's. I should send these to you. I can't believe I haven't already. But this guy made, this is years ago now, like these word balloons for Photoshop, and he just like put them online for free. And I've had them.
You're not recreating it every time.
Yeah, exactly. So and he basically made like 20 different shapes. Most of them, there's like 5 or 6 different, like just general roundish, but some are a little like irregular, which is cool. So they're like, a little bit elliptical or just a little, they look a little not perfect shapes, which is cool. So I'll kind of throw in a couple per page just to make it look a little different. So you do that, and then I just, on the same layer, I add a stroke. It's just on the whole layer. So then when I put these shapes in it, automatically they're white shapes, and then the stroke gets added. And then I add the tails with the pen tool, which so the balloons, it's all one. The balloons are all one layer, so that is the nice thing. It's like, yeah, the lettering itself is all separate layers, which is kind of annoying, but the balloons themselves are all one layer, so they're really easy to manage and change around and whatever I want to do with them. So, So I do like that part.
Have you done Illustrator, or you're just not?
Oh yeah, no, I learned on Illustrator. They're always like do Illustrator. They always said like Illustrator is better because it's vector lettering, but I think Photoshop is vector lettering now too. So yeah, because Photoshop has vectors, like paths are vectors, and also like when you send a file to the printer, I mean, I guess if you export a PDF from Illustrator, or maybe your file in InDesign, if you do that, which is probably keeps the vector whatever layers in there, so they are probably as crisp as they can be. But I've printed all my Photoshop lettered comics I've printed. If you look at them, they don't look blurry. They don't look, because if you think about it, like,
Well, I think,
yeah,
I think I wonder if a lot of this stuff is like left over from. It's like, oh yeah, if you're doing offset printing, or you know what I mean. Like, I wonder if it really applies to
yeah,
the digital printing of like, oh, I made 25 copies. Like, does it matter?
yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. Yeah, I think, and I also think it's just like how the programs work. Because I learned lettering in 2000, I don't know, 2004, 2005. So it's been 15 years. So back then they were like, oh, Photoshop's not good for it or whatever. But now you're like, oh yeah, there's really no reason to. So yeah, I think, and there's just so many people out there doing it, and I see people, lettering. I think there's a lot of leeway in there. I mean, there's a lot of people that do bad lettering, which does suck, but there's a lot of ways to do it right. It doesn't have to be the one way. I've actually seen other people do different things where I'm like really inspired by when they do something different. They use a different font, lowercase fonts, stuff like that. Like, actually, one of my favorite webcomics, I don't read a lot of webcomics, but one of my favorite webcomics, like, I actually don't really like the lettering, but you're just like, who gives a shit? Like, it's just, I think he does it all in Clip Studio. And the main thing I don't like is his font. It looks like the most basic font in the world. And I'm like, dude, use a comic font. Even if you are doing lowercase, there's like comic fonts for that, But yeah, it's just like very kind of boring. But Okay, I should probably do the fun part now. Do some figures. Like that. This is perfect. Doing flats. This is usually what I do during sip and sketch or something. It's just, or when I'm watching TV. It's just like editing the flats. It's like the most boring, whatever thing, but gotta do it.
Oh, you mean be able to just like rap with someone about it? You mean?
Well, I mean, just like do something else while you're doing it, because it's not like something where you're like, oh, I really got to think, or it's not the fun part of rendering, or any of that stuff. It's just like I'm just taking these flats that someone did and
right.
Have you worked with a flatter before, or you just do it all yourself?
No, I just do them.
Yeah, dude, it takes so long.
I've been a flatter.
Oh yeah, okay.
Well, I flattered for you once, right? And I flattered for
Oh yeah.
Wildcats redo stuff, which is kind of fun.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. That's cool.
Page of a Superman comic.
That's cool. Yeah, I think it's a good thing to learn, but yeah, this girl Sarah who comes to Sip and Sketch, she at one point I think she said she could use some extra cash, and she was doing some coloring stuff that was good. I was like, if you want to learn lettering or flatting, that's like something that people need a lot, and you can just learn it. It's not hard, So she did that for me for a while, and she's actually just to the point. She's really good, and I'm almost like now just like try to. Actually, I should mention to her like she should just try to start doing coloring, because I think her actual coloring skills are that good. Like I think some flatters it's just it's just a whatever process thing, but she actually has a good eye. She did this like My Little Pony piece for somebody, and it looked really good actually. So I was like, but coloring's weird. Like I had a friend who asked me to color his stuff, and I like coloring someone else's style. Like, ugh, that is, I don't know. That's really difficult for me.
I did it a little. I colored for one guy, but I didn't. I got fired.
You got fired? Okay. Hey, man, that is all good because you probably weren't. Was it hard? Was it difficult for you, or?
No, it's just I forget why it didn't work out. Honestly, it was kind of like okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is I just don't have any time as it is, so
Yeah.
I need to just.
Yeah.
I just need to work on my stuff, you know.
Yeah, I know. I know. I envy you. I'm like, what if I was just working on one thing? Like, I always I think it's just kind of my ADD a little bit, like wanting to work on different stuff all the time. But sometimes, like, what if like, that's my big goal is, like, after I finish Empty Grave, the other 30 pages I need to draw of it, like, I really want to do, I have this, it's kind of like a mini graphic novel in mind. I need to rewrite it. I wrote it, I started writing it, I got about maybe halfway, not even halfway, and it was like 20 some pages. And I've gone through and I've redone the outline, and want to do, I kind of rewrote the whole thing, the idea. But I need to sit down. I've written maybe 5 pages of it, but I already want to go back and change stuff. But I want to get to the end of it. But I'm hoping it's like 50 or 60 pages. So something, it's like not super long, but it's also like not short either. So,
Yeah, it'll take longer than you think.
Exactly. No, I know it will, but there should be something about it, like just like to have a book, like instead of just issues. Like, actually, I was telling them the other day. I was thinking.
Well, now that
Okay.
no one's making floppies anymore, it'll be all trades.
I was talking about this. Like, I just whatever. Companies can do whatever they want. It's whatever. But there's something I like about floppies. Like, I get people. For a long time, I was a trade only guy. Or I would just buy the first issue, and then I'd be like, okay, I'll get the trade once it comes out later, But there's just something about, I don't know, there's something I have really enjoyed about certain books I've read, reading it month to month. And there's just something about it, and it's a unique thing. It's like, there's something about it that, like, so you're just getting rid of a unique experience and then not replacing it, because the digital thing is already there. The graphic novel's already there. So, like, all you're doing is taking away an option that me and probably a lot of other people like. There's something about,
I agree. I just don't know what they're going to...
Yeah. Yeah, what they can do. Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to... I'm unclear. I mean, is that what DC is doing? Are they legitimately going, oh, we'll do digital and then stuff that, like the Injustice route, where it's like, oh, that was digital, it did really well, so let's print it, kind of thing, or?
Yeah, well, I think the graphic novels just they have the whatever price point on it. I think they make a lot more money, because to print a floppy for them, I mean, I don't know what their price is, maybe $1 or 50, I don't know, but they probably make 200% profit on it, or I don't know, with everything else included, they're only making maybe a little bit of profit, but when they do a trade, they probably spend, the profit margin on that is probably way higher. So, yeah, I think it's probably, plus they also know that it's made money, so, like, or people are interested, but I don't know, man, but, like, whenever you see, I just don't see a lot of, like, original graphic novels that they do that, like, do as well. Like, I remember they did one, Marvel did one a couple of years ago, and it had, like, Jerome Opeña drew it, and I think Remender wrote it, or someone big, Hickman or something. And I was like, oh, they made a graphic novel, and I saw it once and just never heard about it again. But
was it the Ultron one?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like, well, it's the same exact way I talk about streaming or binging versus month to month or week to week series of episodes. Like, it makes so much more, for me. It makes sense to release a show once a week, like Game of Thrones, like Breaking Bad. Like these things become phenomenon because people talk about it, and then people, especially now with things being streaming, they're like, oh, I need to catch up on that, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how.
well, I know you don't watch a lot of TV, but it's still like,
But it's just so like, there's so much. Like, how do you even?
yeah, but I think because of that, that's exactly why you need like doing individual episodes is better because why this is so
That's
weird.
Netflix. I think that's just like Netflix. That's how they like differentiated themselves early in the.
Yeah, and I understand that, but now I think everybody thinks that's the way to go. I guess their idea is just like get people like just to keep their eyeballs to like just watch the show over and over and over again. But there's just so many shows that I think what you're doing is sacrificing the longevity of each one of the buzz on each project, right? Because if you have a series, right, like HBO, right, like that Lovecraft Country, it's out every week. They're like, hey, there's a new one coming out, so every week on their main page, they're like talking about this show. Whereas,
I hear that's a good show.
yeah, the pilot I really like. The second one was crazy. Like the pacing on it is insane. Like after the second episode, I was like, man, that could have been a whole series, just the first 2 episodes. But
Oh, really?
yeah, it's very fast. But what was I gonna say? That's weird.
Sorry, I threw you off.
That's all right. But yeah, so they get every week they get people saying, oh, if they haven't checked it out yet, like say the first week it came out and you didn't see Lovecraft Country, right? So the first week comes out and you're like, oh, I don't know about that, or you just didn't see it, you watched your own show, whatever, or you didn't even log into HBO Max that week. Fine. But then the next week, then you start hearing people talk about it on Facebook, right? Or whatever, Twitter.
Right.
So then that next week when you see, oh, a new episode of Lovecraft Country, you're like, oh shit, I should watch this show now. So then you watch the first one and the second one. So that buzz keeps going. Because Netflix will drop a show and then I won't even realize it. I won't be on Netflix for a while or whatever happens. And I'm like, oh, did the new Orange is the New Black come out? And it happened, but I didn't even know. Because they talk about it for like, they talk about something when it drops for like a week. And then after that, they don't talk about it like at all. And it's really weird. Like, there's a lot of great stuff on Netflix that's just like kind of buried because they're just like the new stuff. They're like addicted to the new stuff, which you have to have new content, but it's also like, you want to tell people like, hey, check out these things we made that you never even saw,
Yeah, I can't keep. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't watch some. I have not Crunchyroll. I have Funimation, so I'll watch stuff on there every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching. You know what I was watching? I really like.
Hmm.
Is The Expanse. You read those, right?
Yeah, I need to actually go and finish. I think I've read 4 or 5 of them. I need to read the next one. I've been reading at least one a year, and it's been a while since I read one. So, but yeah, I like the books a lot. I watched a little bit of the show, and it didn't grab me right away. But I think I should go back.
It just gets better.
Okay,
Like,
all right.
it was the same with me, but it just, especially by like end of season 2, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that is the cool thing about literally, I love that the title, The Expanse, like describes the show like the plot very well. Like the show, it just most shows I feel like they're like, okay, this is what the show's about, right? Or book anything. But as you're getting into this, you're like, oh wow, it really does expand. Like the scope of it gets so big, and
Right.
yeah, really, really changes over time, which I think is cool. So, but yeah, I need to. I think the main thing that I thought about the thing was that the main guy was young, and in the book I was like, oh no, this is like a veteran guy who's been around the block, and then in the show he's so young.
You're like, that guy couldn't.
Yeah, he's like 20. He looks like he's like 20 something. I'm like, what? Like that's not. And then the Amos guy who's supposed to be big. He wasn't even that big. I'm like, oh, he just looks like a kind of standard dude. Like I was imagining some like I don't even know what actor I'm thinking, but someone like The Rock, but like fatter, or something, like just a big ass dude, and he was just kind of like standard 6 foot whatever guy. I'm like, oh, that's, you know, but yeah, I need to check it out more. I need to give it another go. Yeah, we're watching. I have a reminder, like an app on my phone, a notes thing where I keep track of all our shows, what we're watching at a time. So
Really?
yeah, so we go through our a rotation. We're like, oh, we haven't watched this show in a while. We haven't watched this show in a while. And like some are like reality shows. Like we were watching Padma Lakshmi's show, the cooking food across eating America. I can't. The Taste of America, I think that's what it's called. But she goes all over America and tries all the different food and cooks with people and stuff, and that was cool. And we watched the Zac Efron show, Down to Earth, where he goes all over the world and learns about like environmental stuff, and that was pretty cool. And we just finished that actually, watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just for something funny to watch.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine's a fun
Yeah.
show, yeah.
Oh yeah, Brenda had never seen The Wire, so we started watching that. So we're still on the first season of that. She wants to. Have you seen Mad Men? Do you see Mad Men?
I've seen like the first 3 seasons.
Oh really? You didn't finish it?
4 seasons? No, there's
Damn,
like
that's
a
a-
season and a half that I haven't finished.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I really like that show. And some reason she said she watched some of it and didn't really grab her, but she's actually looking at memes the other day that were all taken from Mad Men. She's like, all right, I'm ready to watch this now. It's like, all right, thank you. Memes.
Nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that show. That was the show too that. Okay.
I just fell off for some reason. I think maybe I was like moving, and then
Yeah.
like I just never got back on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Immortal Hulk. I was reading it, and then
Oh, you stopped. Okay. I literally was.
the comic
Oh.
store I was reading it, they like changed vendor, like they changed owners, so there was like a break, and I just never got back on. So I need to get back into that.
Have you been to the Comic Bug, the one in Culver here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have? Do they buy old comics and stuff? Do they do that or no? Trade-ins? Because I need to ask them, but they were at Pulp Fiction. They kind of stopped doing the trade-ins, because of COVID for a while. Yeah, yeah. So they were like, taking books from people is probably kind of, not the best idea right now. But why isn't this working? What the hell? Weird. But yeah, they but I have a whole box of books. I just need to, like, I don't really care if I get much for them, but I want to get at least something, I have the whole run of Paper Girls, like the entire run in
Paper Girls?
yeah, in
They might
floppies.
buy that. They might buy that.
So
eBay.
oh, that's why I'm like, what the hell is happening? Okay. eBay. Oh, yeah, dude, I'm not doing all that shipping and stuff. Pain in the. I'm actually terrified. Like you did. How'd you do ship your other Kickstarters? Because you did print books, right? Yeah. I always did your digitals, but okay.
I just did media mail, and
What did you package them in?
I just had bubble wrap, and then I put them in a bag and boards, but there was like 3 boards in it, it was like,
Oh wow, each one?
yeah, so it was like, it was like in the envelope, and then it was in a bag and board, and then there were boards on either side, so,
And wait,
some of them got screwed up,
Okay.
so I had to remail,
Okay. Yeah, that's the part that really that I want to do the Kickstarter, like a solo one, but that's the thing because when I did the other ones with for Empty Grave, Warwick, the writer, he did all the work on the shipping. So, which was awesome, but it was also like I needed to learn that process, the ins and outs. So I know he would help me out. Like,
Do it. It's not. You just have to do it.
yeah, I'm just afraid of like, oh, I made $5,000 and then I spend, all the, not profit, but like if I have any extra, it's like, oh, that all went to shipping.
You got to factor the shipping in. Make it part of the pledge.
Well, but I mean, like you said, like you had to reship some things, so stuff like that. To have to build in, I know you have to build in a buffer for like extra to make sure like stuff goes wrong. So, did you do international shipping or just domestic?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not dealing with that.
I know there's a what's like Ox something. I saw a new one that one of those big people that I backed before that they do a bunch of them, like backer kit. But there's another new thing that it sounds like one of those services that like it's just made for people doing Kickstarters where they handle your shipping, I guess, or I don't know. They handle a lot of it.
I think Jim Rugg might have done something like that for his, but I think, that's for like, people better have a crap ton of.
Yeah. Wait, who's Jim Rugg? I heard that name.
He's the cartoons kayfabe guy.
Oh yeah. Okay. What's his comic that he makes?
He just did one. He did like a comic. Octobriana. I got it here.
Cobra.
But he does more work for hire stuff than Piscor.
Okay.
He like did.
Oh yeah, Piscor. Oh, he's the guy that does the history or what was it? Marvel. He did the X-Men one.
Yeah, X-Men Grand Design.
Yeah, that was cool, man. I want to get the trade of that. That was such a.
Edition.
It's funny because that's not really the style I usually go for, but like his art style. But like it's just.
It works, I think.
Yeah, like with him writing and everything, and like, but I just love that whole, taking the mythology and the lore and or whatever the canon, right, basically, and kind of reintroducing it. So you're like, oh, it's a really fun way of kind of reliving stuff that I couldn't remember, or didn't know that much about. Like it's a really super smart way for them to do that.
But that's kind of his. I think that's been his brand to an extent. Is that it's like, oh, I make history understandable. Like he did it for Hip Hop Family Tree. He did
Yeah.
for the Hackers. I think that's kind of like his thing.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's really great. Yeah, I always think like, people are like, oh, the brand and stuff, like, what's your thing? And like, some guys are the horror guy or, I'm always like, man, I don't want to be I don't know. I don't really, like, I'm into so many different things. Like, that's why that webcomic thing that I'm trying to do eventually, like, it really is just everything from week to week. I mean, a lot of genre stuff. I would say genre comics, but I want to do like noir stuff. I want to do fantasy. I want to do sci-fi. And it just different week to week. Just like whatever I feel like doing, whatever pops in my head. But I guess there's some consistency. It's usually something that's like some action and something. But I'm really just trying to keep myself open with it. Like just whatever comes in my head, whatever I feel like making, just do it. Find an artist or draw it myself, and I really saw that's the only bummer with this thing is like I've had so much time to draw now, which is good, but writing, man, I just stopped writing. I haven't written anything like months. Even in the beginning, I would like have little ideas, but yeah, I need to like come up with a new. I've been telling people this for a while, but I need to come up with a new routine, like just every week to go somewhere, like go to get coffee somewhere, go to whatever, and just bring my laptop and like do something, just to write, just like have no other objective. Yeah. Because I've actually been drawing.
That's how they do it. I talked to one guy in class, and he just had another book published. He's a prose guy, and he's like, I just make sure I write 600 words a day. I'm like, wow.
What? 600 words?
Yeah, which that's a chunk, but that's not.
Yeah. No, that's exactly. I know. I was telling, yeah, I had, yeah, when I was working at Fox, like, I had so much downtime. Every day, I was trying to write a page a day of whatever main project I was working on, and then at least, man, I can't even remember now, like, some decent chunk of like one of the shorts, like, either whatever, like, or I'd at least try to finish one a week. That was what it was. Like, I have these shorts I was working on. I was like, they're only 10 panels, right? Like, they're short for Instagram. So I was like, so if I wrote one a week, I was like, that's enough content to, even if at the very best scenario, if I could have one coming out every week, which I don't know when the hell I could ever ramp it up to there, but that would be great, And then even now, since I'm not, until I do ramp up to it, that means I'd have time to write some bad stories that like didn't go, weren't very good. That then I can be like, oh well, I'm not going to use that one, so no biggie, and then just continue with one that is good. So, but yeah, the girl who I hired to do the first one just did a Kickstarter. I just randomly saw it on Kickstarter. You know how like you just browse on there, I backed some other one. I was like, oh, you should check this one out. I was like, man, that art looks kind of familiar, and I was like looking at it, and then finally I was like,
wait a minute.
yeah, and I was like, wait, that's the girl I hired to do the Katsumi, the first thing, and yeah, and they did like 50 or like 10 grand or something, or 12 or something. They did a good amount.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, that's awesome. I was like, but I was mad because I was like, oh, that sucks. I didn't back it in time, because like by the time I noticed and was like interested in backing it, it had already ended. And I was like, oh well, do you guys have a plan for publishing so I could buy the actual book? And she's like, oh yeah, we do, but we can't talk about it yet or whatever. So that's another thing. I was telling Cecilia this because she was talking about, I don't know, publishing, or I don't know, something the other day with children's books, and I was like, half the time these Kickstarters, they come out and then a publisher immediately is like, oh yeah, we'll publish that, because that's the smartest thing in the world. Just like you were talking about with the DC thing, right? Like,
Right.
what was that? What was the evil? What was the
Oh, Injustice.
Injustice? Right. So you're like, oh, this thing's already a hit, so let's publish it. So you're like, there's very little risk. There's already a built-in audience. So when you see that all those people on Kickstarter back something, well, yeah, that's not really that much of a risk, right? Like, much less of risk than someone that you don't know can raise $10,000, right, on their own. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of publishers out there now that are just like, oh, Kickstarter to whatever. Like, did you have a successful Kickstarter? Yeah, come publish your book with us. Like, cool.
Well, especially if it's like, how much is it? 10,000? I mean, that's not like, oh yeah, you made $500.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
oh wow, 10,000. There
Yeah.
you go.
How many have you done so far?
2.
2? Okay. And how much? What was the amount raised each time?
I think it was like 700 one, and then 600
Okay.
the other. I haven't had like a.
Dude, you gotta go for a G next time, man.
I think 20% of my audience is new. The rest is like.
Oh, on the Kickstarters?
Yeah, but you can see they have like.
Oh, that's cool. Now, what do you do to promote it?
Did all the Facebook and the videos and.
Did you pay for Facebook advertising or no?
No.
Okay.
I know people do it though.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I see a lot on Instagram. I see a ton of, like, stuff on Instagram for comics, which actually to me makes more sense than Facebook. Because I feel like I'm at least more, like, if I see a cool comic, like a cool image, I'll probably click that more on Instagram versus Facebook. Just because I'm looking for images, I'm on there looking for.
Yeah, well, and you're looking at pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go in a second here. I'm off this hour. I can come back.
No, that's good. I'm probably gonna go to a coffee shop for a couple hours, and although I already have coffee here, I haven't finished. But yeah, man, just get out of the house. I found these 2 coffee shops that are right near my house. I still drive because I run a couple hours a week, so then I do not feel like walking anywhere on my days off. But yeah, I'll go there and I'll be at one for like 2 or 3 hours. I'll be at the other for another 2, and just being able to focus, man, just without the cats and just everything. It's just there's so much stuff that gets in the way that you don't even like.
Yeah, totally.
Brenda's always like, "Oh yeah, you're at home. I wish I could work from home." Blah blah. And I'm like, you know what? I wish that I would feel like I'm getting a ton done, and sometimes I do, but a lot of times I'm like, man, I probably only did like 3 hours of real work in a whole day. She gets home and I'm like, just like, oh, that's why I end up staying up late a lot, is because I'm like trying to do more work, like so, because I'm just not a morning person, and then by the time I get started and then I am running 3 times a week, so then by the time I run and come back and shower and do all that.
Great, you're running.
Yeah, I gotta go to the doctor though, because my foot really hurts. I'm wondering if I like injured my foot somehow from. I think I need to get new shoes. Is probably a big thing, but yeah, my one toe really hurts. But yeah, I like it. I get out of the house. I do about 3 miles, 3.5 miles a day. So.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm not doing that.
I mean, a lot of it's walking though. A lot of it is like, actually, I just started being able to run a full mile without stopping, and that takes me about 10 minutes, almost exactly. So, but so I would say time-wise, the walking is a good amount, but like distance-wise, I am mostly running, or jogging at least. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun. It's just being inside all day. It's just like nice to get out, and there's actually a path that runs right near it's that path all along this area. So it's on Culver Boulevard that runs that you can go all the way up to Sepulveda, and I take it, and that's how I built up the runs. Is at first I would run just to Centinela and back, and now I go one further. It's to where Ronnie's Diner is. So and it's easy because I'm like, okay, I just got to run 3 stoplights, and then once I run those 3, then I just run back, and then that's it.
Oh, nice.
And then I have little routines here and there. Like the last part, I try to run, pretty much as fast as I can at the very end, and then I walk home, and it's nice after I have like a nice walk at the end where it's like 10, 15 minutes of just walking home by the DMV.
That's great.
Yeah.
All
And
right, man, well, this was awesome. So next week, I should be good, like pretty much Thursdays.
Thursdays? All right, I'm down for more days too. So if you want to do this twice a week or whatever, like Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever. Any actually,
it's 9 to.
early? Early? Oh,
Well, actually, on Tuesday, Thursday at 10, that's fine. Want to just do that?
sure. Yeah, 10's good. Yeah, I can do 9 too. I can get up earlier if I need. I was up earlier. I actually went and got us coffee this morning before. But yeah, 10's good if we can just plan for that. Give us time to get set up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then that's cool. And then we can actually put like a schedule out for people so they know.
Yeah, and then if we do it consistently, then maybe theoretically.
We'll become superstars, and yeah.
And then if we do it for like 5 years, people will actually care.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have to go into my Zoom meeting now.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks, man. Let's plan on Tuesday, and then
Yeah.
let's just do. I don't know. Let's just do 10.
10 to noon. If we can, whatever. That's a good 2-hour chunk, and
Yeah.
and then let's.
I have a class at 12:30, so that works.
Perfect. Yeah, then let's try to. I'll do some more reading. We'll try to figure out the whole call audio thing to see if we can figure out, how to do this. Not with a phone call, but this works too. So.
All the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right, boss. Well, I will. Thanks again for hanging out, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Talk to you later.